Matt's been hitting some of those pumpkin spice white claws. That's all I know.
Oh yeah, the pumpkin spice claws, they hit different, bro.
They hit different.
They hit different. This is a show about Overwatch, I promise.
Maybe.
Eventually we'll discuss. I think we're about at the time limit to where we welcome to Plat Chat episode 100.
I mean, this is kind of approaching the oversight, in terms of the length we're doing for our intro.
Very special. No, I mean I got a gym at the session at 6:30. I mean we would still be at the intro if that was the case. We're at episode 100, milestone episode for us here.
Big one.
Would anyone like to say anything at the beginning of episode 100? How this journey's been?
Very relieved at the fact that the playoffs are not going to be shit.
Oh Jesus, yeah.
There was a very big worry for all of us, I think.
Yeah,
I speak for all of us, even though I shouldn't. That the new playoff patch is going to be absolutely fucking atrocious, like the most wank playoff patch ever, because we were worried about the double shield meta. But actually, it's pretty high paced.
Well, from what we've seen for now, it is.
Yeah, so far.
You could have,
it could all get worse.
Jinxed it. Yeah, I mean,
can you imagine if Bren is the cause of
like
the playoffs?
You never know.
Bren is anointing the meta as perfectly fine after seeing 3 teams play. Like, yeah,
and also, I mean, 3. To be honest with you, I don't think particularly high level teams as well. But I think we're gonna dig into that a little bit later on.
Yeah,
you mean 6 though? We have actually seen 6 teams play. Like,
I took Matt's word for it. I just can't remember.
It's been reasonable. Like, none of the teams were terrible to watch. It's been pretty entertaining.
A Chengdu, I mean,
it's always like this at the start of patches. It's just all over the place.
Yes, exactly.
And everyone kind of just do their own thing.
A lot of these teams, like, I remember after that London-Shanghai game, everyone's saying, like, it's such a high level of Overwatch. But, I mean, you guys have been saying, I know, Matt, you've been saying it. Josh, you've been saying it. You rewatched the game, and you guys just aren't as impressed.
Well, I watched it live, and I was like, "Oh, this is
entertaining.
Sick. This is crazy, right?"
It was crazy. It was super fun.
And then I was like, "You know what? Let me give that one a second pass." I was like, "Let me see this shit again." And watching it back, I was like, "Man, it looked like it was just basically deathmatch half the time. It's just players running everywhere. I mean, just mayhem." But I'm of the mindset is I'd rather watch fun games like that than like 2 teams just stand around and poke forever and just do something boring. Like, at least just fly to each other and just trying to hit shit, right? Like, I don't care.
It's only entertaining though now because we were also kind of figuring out the meta alongside the pros.
That's true,
but that's also fine.
Yeah, that's fine though.
Yes, that's perfectly fine. But if what I'm saying is if it was goats and we were watching some poo goats teams right now, we would be very annoyed.
Yeah. But the thing is, because none of us really know how the meta is supposed to be played, you don't have that like high horse to look down on everybody and be like, "Oh, you guys are crap," because nobody really knows what the perfect meta looks like right now.
That's why I said in our group chat. I think I said it to Johnny, and then Johnny went back and watched the game, and I think kind of had the same feeling that I had. It's like that match, I think at the time everyone's like, "Oh, this is like an all-time classic." In 3 weeks, we could be talking about that as a fucking clown fiesta.
Well, I mean,
it
was a classic because it was the longest map in Overwatch history. It was 8 maps long. But I'm just saying, like, it doesn't even matter about like the meta itself, like the hero choices or the compositions. To me, it's just like the decision making was off. Like, people fed at times, weird swaps. I mean, Prophet played Reaper versus Pharah on King's Row for like an entire half, and I'm like,
what's wrong with the Reaper?
Why are you playing Reaper into a Pharah? It's just like very odd things. Like Birdring would like flank very oddly and get caught off guard, and it's just like, what is happening?
Maybe we're in the Sideshow meta of the flank, the flank meta.
Maybe. I mean, Youngjin died a few times when he shouldn't have, and it's just. I guess I was surprised that Guangzhou charged didn't make it further because they had Eileen and stuff, but.
Let's talk about the actual matches instead of just fucking flapping our gums. So, Guangzhou, Chengdu. Chengdu goes out in a ball of flames. I mean, Chengdu was.
I don't even remember that match.
No, I mean the match was 45 minutes. I
remember that match. Fucking Nero put up one of the performances of his life.
Which I guess the reason I think a lot of us were so high on the charge going into Saturday is that Nero played really good on Pharah against Jinmu.
He looked like a god.
I mean, Jinmu was a really good Pharah. Young Xiaolong's not a bad like McCree, and he was like just spanking them.
Yeah, Nero was absolutely on fire. I think weirdly though, I think we've eliminated the two best Pharah Doomfist teams in the entire league, like straight away, with Guangzhou and Shanghai Dragons. If I was gonna tell you, like, I don't think so. If I was gonna name the top Pharah players in the world right now, it would be Ding is genuinely has been incredible all year, and then Jinmu was going for his throne at some point. And then there's other names that you put up there, but with the performance that Nero has had over the course of stage 4, and then in that game against Chengdu, Nero's definitely got to be up there as well. And then the fact that they've got Eileen on that team, that's a wild Pharah Doomfist.
How good of a Pharah Doom could like Architect Sinatra be?
Pretty decent, but I don't think you really think about them as being specialists on those heroes. I don't know, because you don't really see Architect on Pharah that often. I mean, Rascal.
I'm honestly pretty happy that Guangzhou are out, because I honestly thought they were pretty garbage.
Really?
Like, Nero played a good Pharah, but they couldn't adapt in time. Nero couldn't play Reaper for his life. They couldn't synchronize. They couldn't synchronize with Nero's Reaper or Eileen's Doomfist, and they just looked like they were all over the place. Like, they had the skill. We know that Nero popped off because Chengdu didn't counter him, but honestly, their play in this meta was so unpolished and pretty tragic that I just didn't enjoy watching
this
them.
comment is brought to you by Genji Esports.
Yeah. I don't know. People come at me for hot takes like that, but that's a very hot take. I thought Rio's been playing very well. I thought Hopper really was.
Oh, yes. His Orisa. Dude.
It's not about that, though. It's the coordination he's had with the rest of his team. Like, obviously, mechanics are
pretty good.
The exact same. But the fucking teamwork was fantastic. Shu was playing out of his mind. Chara, we don't talk about him. But we will continue to not talk about him. But Shu and Happy, I thought, and Eileen were really, really excelling in their roles as well in stage 4 in the playoffs.
I think Johnny's point, though, is that they played a little bit sloppy and weren't able to make the right adjustments. I think the weird thing is, as soon as that match, see, now we've skipped over to the Charge Seoul match, basically, right? Because we're talking about a Charge going out.
Yeah, but the Chengdu one was...
Whatever. Yeah, if once Charge got forced off the Pharah, I think their game plan kind of went out the window. I think they were planning on a bunch of Pharah v Pharah to start with. And as soon as they got forced into the Reaper Doomfist matchup, they weren't playing it particularly clean. I don't know if you noticed, but Hopper was going for these wide Sigma angles all the time, where sometimes it was getting a bit of value, but it just meant that he couldn't really peel for the Reaper or the Doomfist when they ended up just inting.
He's trying to play it like Diva.
Yeah, he was trying to play it like an off-angle. Yeah, I don't think that's the way to play Sigma, because Sigma's rock is the most powerful part of his kit. Like, now that we've actually seen Sigma being played, his rock is nuts.
I will say the rock is much easier to hit at off angles when there's not a shield in the way.
Right, but you don't want to be... I'm saying, like, using it to peel instead of using it offensively.
Right, gotcha.
I think that's the best way to play when you're playing, like, Reaper.
Right, so let's try and stay on track with days. So Guangzhou, I think we kind of got a lot of... I think we'll hit Guangzhou again pretty hard when we go to Seoul. Shanghai, Philly. Philly, to me, kind of threw this one.
Yeah,
I casted it, and during the game, like, if you went back and watched that series, like, Philly had control of, like, games, game 2 they had, like, a pretty good control over.
They should have won Anubis.
Game 3, Kings Row, they set a better time, and then they just fucking throw... they win Kings Row the next go-around. And then the final map, they actually, like, are ahead for a decent amount of time. Then they threw that one as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think it kind of just summarized, like, Philly's season as a whole. It's like, they had the moments of last year's team, but they didn't have enough of those moments for me.
From what I remember of that match, I wasn't particularly impressed with... actually, I'd say... I was about to say not particularly impressed with Philly. What I was thinking is, we've been watching Philly this entire year, and they never really played a high level of Overwatch whatsoever. And I was anticipating them... Kind of like the only reason I predicted them on the day was because I thought they'd have a very reasonable chance given Shanghai's poor performance in stage 4 and Philly having a new meta to work with. And I thought they'd be more driven. And I think they were more driven. I think they played a high level of Overwatch than we've seen in the entirety of the year out of them.
I think Philly looked better than they did previously, but that I don't think counters Matt's point. Like, I think both of those were true. Philly played much better, and so we saw opportunities for them to win this match, but they weren't able to grasp them properly.
The one thing I would say is, if Philly had the hindsight of seeing what Seoul did against like a really good Pharah team, like unleashing like the Fleta McCree. And like if they had seen like that, like do you play Carpe on McCree more? I thought Poco's Sigma was actually really good.
I think Poco's was the second best Sigma we've seen so far. I'd say it was Marvel and then Poco.
Yeah, I mean,
I wasn't expecting him to be that good.
Poco was sick, and I think if you saw that, maybe if they kind of were like, oh, maybe McCree is actually pretty strong, like we can do something. Because what happens is the first 2 maps are really close. Philly loses them. And then they bring in Ding, and then Ding just like plays like one tricks Pharah for the rest of the series. Yeah. And they never really had like an answer for it. But it's crazy they were still able to keep the series close.
I think it was a bad game plan from Philly as well.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. They played majority May Reaper the whole time. Like they just tried to hard force it in every scenario.
And they weren't even good at it when they were playing it.
Yeah, the May didn't get much value at all. In this meta, it's so much more difficult actually to play the May than it used to be with the old meta, I think. Just because there's an extra shield in the way that you have to try and fucking battle your way through, the May doesn't seem to get as much value isolating people.
I feel like, obviously looking like way forward, but I feel like Philly is in one of the oddest spots going into the offseason as a team.
Yeah.
Because like if you looked at that roster, it's not really a failure on like talent. And I think the coaching staff's actually pretty decent out of all like the coaching staffs we have in the Overwatch League. I think it's quite good.
It just feels like they've lost their edge, and I'm like, how do you sharpen that blade and get out there and like actually get good in clutch?
I think there's a very easy solution though for these guys, and it's just bringing up the really hungry players from their academy team.
I think that's
going to solve everything.
I think you just need like one player changes like the entire. Like I think maybe if you're Philly, you looked back on not like trying something with your lineup throughout the year is a mistake, because Johnny, you have like you put a new player in the lineup, you have like a little bit of like a honeymoon phase, right, where everybody's excited.
Well, it's not even
and, like learn how to play with somebody again. Like
they don't really have any exciting players on the bench either, in my opinion. Like sure, like I think it'll be really good if they promote Alarm and stuff, but in my mind they need like a new tank probably. And I don't know if Kib is the solution to their DPS problems. Like, I just think, well, when you talk about sort of revitalizing the team, I want a leader in there, and I want someone to like make everyone happy and shit. But they don't really have one right now, and I feel like they're not best at anything. Like they don't have anything going for them.
But I agree with Matt though. You only need to change 2 players, and they don't even have to be leaders for everybody else to get.
I mean.
2 is
like twice, or like double 1.
Yeah. I think it's obvious that they'll try and bring in Alarm. I think a world in which they don't try and bring in Alarm is a crazy, crazy world.
That'll happen.
And I think that probably picking up a replacement for Carpe is going to be on the cards, because I think Carpe is going to look to go to a different team after this. I think I don't really see a world in which Philadelphia Fusion stick with him after this, and I think that could really change the whole dynamic of Philadelphia.
Well, I think he changes the dynamic of the league. I mean, he goes to a situation that's better.
Well, it's like I think Sorry, go on, Bren.
I was just gonna say, I think as well, another player I'd replace on Philly would probably be Sado.
Yeah,
you could try Changshik from the university team.
I think Sado in a good role on a different team would be a good tank in the league.
I agree with that as well. I think that he just doesn't fit Philly.
I think that it could be the environment there just got a little bit stale, a little bit toxic, and that just kind of threw everything sideways.
I don't even think like any player from the Philadelphia Fusion Academy besides Alarm is really a solution for this team. I mean, I say that, and they actually have a few good players on that team. But I'm saying, like, I don't think Changshik is gonna go into that lineup and just change things up. But if you get in Alarm and you have Carpe and you get in a top tier tank, like, holy shit, this is a good team on paper. You have EQO, Carpe, Alarm, like
the team's not difficult to turn around. Even keep Poco, EQO, Alarm, Carpe. Like, okay, bring it. If you don't like Sado, bring in a tank, bring in another support, and like. You're, I think, back near the upper echelons of the league.
Yeah, but I think what we all agree with as well, though, is that it doesn't really matter the skill level of the people they bring in. What needs to change is the team environment, or at least it seems like that, right? Like that's the thing that.
And that's why I don't think that any players from the Fusion Academy is necessarily going to be a big solution, because I think a lot of people on the main roster is going to be like, hey, we're just promoting like this guy from our academy team. It's not a new boost of new energy and new environment, but
you don't think the Fusion guys would be excited to play alongside Alarm and
can we separate Alarm from everyone else? Because Alarm is like this unique, incredible player,
right? But that could just be the solution as it is, because I could certainly see like EQO and Neptuno and stuff. Not that Boombox is bad, but just the idea of playing with such an awesome new talent could revitalize them and motivate them.
It's going to be like an Excelsior playing with Jonak and Jonas. It's the same shit.
Don't do my voice out like that.
Maybe.
Hey, Janus is good now.
Pog.
Janus is good. Pog.
Got him.
Hey, Lulsish, Elevote.
Yeah.
Poggers.
Those guys will be learning.
Getting unlocked in Philly.
Yeah. In that match, though, to return back to the match itself, I think one of the biggest problems they had was even if they had got a good read on the meta and they wanted to run Reaper Doomfist or something like that, EQO hasn't looked as versatile and sharp as he did last year. I don't know whether he just kind of.
I think maybe he's trying to do like a lot with like
he was in Brig Prison
stuff.
He was in Brig Prison. Yeah, maybe that cut some of the sharpness.
And then something happened in. I remember
when he played the Doomfist though, it didn't look that great.
Yeah, well, Doomfist is a unique hero. I think maybe he had a hard time just picking it up. I mean, a lot of these teams, they're lucky in that they have a Doomfist specialist, but I don't think Philly has that.
I mean, they traded for Kib and they never did anything with him, right?
No, didn't play him once.
I mean, not even try.
No.
At that point, try.
Well, you don't even know what he's good at.
So I know for a fact. I've listened to Philly's
hot tubs.
I've listened to Philly's comms, is what it is. Early on in the season, when we had access to a lot of the players' comms lives, we lost access to it later on because Hearthstone stole our production room. But the one thing I gathered is that EQO is a fantastic leader in the game.
Yeah,
and that's the main benefit he brings. Like he was very mechanically skilled early on, and I do wonder if that's because part of the calling was being picked up by someone else, like Fraggy last year, or I don't know. But I do know that the main benefit that EQO does bring is having a decisive figure in the team that's making a lot of the decisions.
Yeah, but they need to laugh more, like they did in Gibraltar.
I will say this though, like he could be a fantastic leader, but you're only really strong as a leader if the rest of the team respects you. And if the rest of the team's not on the same page with him, like he could have the best mindset in game ever. He could have everything sorted. And if not everybody's like all in, like that can kind of just.
And also what can happen with decisive leaders is back when I would shot call in Misfits, I would almost be in my own head a lot, and we sort of didn't have the same amount of game plan, which sort of sparks some anxiety within the team because they're so like caught up in like, oh, what do we have to do next? What is the game plan, Johnny? Blah blah blah. Like it's not. You don't have the same kind of flow.
You don't have the confidence because in your own. Everybody knows what's happening. Only one person knows it.
You can be a super smart and like super decisive leader, but if you don't communicate or inspire confidence in your teammates, like you lost half the battle. That's why Sebosai was such a great shot caller, and like everyone promoted his shot calling because he was like decisive, but also very inspiring and made people like play like he wanted to because he was good at that. Some people just need charisma to their leadership. Otherwise,
also the other thing is like you've listened to this person for 4 stages now and you're a mediocre team. Like there's probably a part of something where like I've been on teams before where we've had a leader and somebody they call something out, and in my head I'm like, I don't think that's the right play, and I'm like, well shit, what do I do? Do I do what they're saying, or do I do what I know like I should be doing? And like I think some part of that is
and then you hesitate, right?
Yeah, then you hesitate. And then, or if they make a shot call and then it doesn't go right, you in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I knew I shouldn't have fucking done that.
Exactly.
Like, and then you're angry at this guy.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of just like politics and team dynamics that go with it. And I mean, I don't know about you guys. Like, I would probably, if I was them and it was like, hey, like we can have Carpe and Alarm and start to build around those two. Like, I'd probably take that option over the bring in Alarm, let Carpe do whatever he wants somewhere else, and then try and put the pieces together. Like
that might cost you a fuck ton of money. Like keeping Carpe and that. So unless
you
they
want to bring
sign
money
Carpe
into the
at the
equation of GM.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is why I really want salaries to be public so that we can figure out like who did Fusion actually re-sign this year for extended contracts and who will become a free agent at the end of this year, because it's so important for discussing how these teams are going to change in the offseason. But for a guy like Alarm, it's much simpler. He's on the Fusion University Academy team. Yeah. So if somebody else bids for him, Fusion can bid the same amount and they'll get it. But another team could bid fucking 400k for Alarm because he's absolutely looking ridiculous, and then the Fusion have to stump up that money or they have to give him away. So that's, I mean, that it could cost them a lot to keep hold of these players.
I think they can go one of two ways. I think they can go like maybe you keep like Sato, maybe you get Alarm, and then you also keep Carpe, and then you figure out what to do with the rest of the roster. Maybe you want to build around, like maybe they believe like EQO like is the answer in terms of like in-game leader and personality of like, because you have to think too, like as franchises go home to their local markets, like as much as it's about winning, like, you know, fans are going to be excited to go see Carpe play. Like it's Carpe, right? I mean, that's true. The guy just draws, like, so now you have to think about like, oh, well, are we going to let like one of our main draws go and try and try and convince the fan base like, hey, this is the better option to go with the unknown?
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the reasons I hated like the way the thing with Fissure ended with Seoul Dynasty. It's like, because like you've seen the guy like play at like an insane level, and it's like, okay, granted, like maybe he's not the best on your roster right now. People are gonna rock up to see Fissure play. Like he's a boss man, right?
Yeah. Like, but I think he just wanted to leave at that point.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I mean, shit, I would want to leave too. If I was like second in MVP voting last year, and then I go to a team and they tell me I'm going to be a big part of turning them around, they throw me on the bench. Fuck yeah, I want to leave. I think I want to stay around for that.
Yeah. Here's the other thing as well. There's a lot of very reactionary like stuff that comes out of having a mediocre season like Carpe's had this season as well. I can see a bunch of people in the chat like, Carpe seems washed up, hasn't been putting up good numbers, you shouldn't build around him, he's so overhyped. This kind of
have you seen the guy on stage? He's depressed, dude.
Exactly. Like, this is the epitome of a player that if you take him and put him in another team, or if you rebuild the team around him, you could expect greatness from him again.
If Carpe was a free agent, there'd be 19 teams lining up, and with 19 starting spots available for him.
I'll say this though,
he'd be a starter on any other team.
He might not be the best. Like last season, you may have genuinely said that he was the best hit scan player that we had in the league. I don't think that's true anymore because we had a bunch of other fantastic hit scan players join, but he's still up there. Like he's still absolutely in the league.
He's sort of the potential, you know, like you sign him for the potential, not because of the current.
Here's a thought. Do you think we need to be moving away from these specialist players and instead moving towards players that can play a variety of different roles?
Not really. It's so map dependent.
Do we not have enough evidence now that supports the fact that you need people who are flexible?
No, I don't think so. Because it's so map dependent that you can still find specialists that will probably stick with 2 or 3 heroes.
Sure, but
like if you have Eileen who specializes in Doomfist and maybe one more character, he's still viable on some maps.
Yeah, but I think what Bren's saying is like I would probably want 2 of my starting DPS players to cover a lot of those, and then I would keep a specialist on the bench.
Libero Flower is a perfect example.
Right. Like I think the having like 6 DPS players and having a bunch of people just like specialize in different things, I think that'll be dead and probably within like the next like year or 2.
But who does that?
You're gonna have these young players just come through that are freaks that are just playing everything. Like,
but even when we think about people that are mostly thought of as hit scan, like Carpe, who's mostly thought of as a hit scan,
he can play Genji.
His original team, he played Genji. That was what he came up in the scene as. So
plays Hanzo.
Yeah, like this is. I think a lot of the players that we think of as being quite narrow haven't really had the opportunity to show the full depth of their hero pool. Some of them might just be trash on a bunch of different stuff. It's hard to tell from the outside.
I also think we've seen a bunch of players get exposed in a way in the fact that they can't play other heroes and stuff like that. We've seen teams really struggle because of it. Like,
and those are the players that'll get weeded out.
Yeah.
Before we move on, can I just say that like, if Philly picks up Alarm and like half of Element Mystic, they're like instantly a top 5 team.
Yeah.
If any team does that. If Toronto did that,
sure, I'll give you that.
But yes, I agree.
Toronto doesn't have Carpe and Alarm, but yes.
I'll even say this: if Philly were to let go of Sato, I think Sato can go to another team and he can turn it around a lot, like how Fate went to Florida and looked much better.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I think, I mean, you don't get people paying you to play and boost them up if you're pretty shit. Like, I mean,
oh my god,
exactly.
That's the thing. You
thing.
guys are also overestimating how much impact a singular player can have on a team.
No.
Yes, because I mean, you think of other players that were brought in and hyped up as the end-all be-all of a squad, right? Sinatra last year didn't perform up to where we expected. Decay.
Well, he was overrated at the time.
Decay this year hasn't really brought, great success to Gladiators. Sure, Gladiators are a great team, but I wouldn't say it's the Decay show. Even now when we've moved into a DPS meta, I think people need to think differently about this and start thinking more about a support staff behind these teams as opposed to these big players. Start putting your resources into that instead of these big name players. But of course, there's more variables that come into that.
You do have a point. You do have a point.
I mean, these coaches are getting paid too, right? I mean, they're charity.
I think the best example of this is if you really put effort into your support staff, you will see success. Case in point, San Francisco Shock poaching Krusty. Like that, they've seen a meteoric success off the back of that.
That kind of seems like you're using the most far-reaching what's the word, like a outlier to explain the point, though, because I don't think there's anyone in the scene like Krusty.
No, there's nobody else who could be able to do that. Like
Wizard.
I will say though, I mean, I think Valiant are a team that put a lot of thought into their support staff.
Yeah. That's true.
Can't argue.
After they cut Moon.
Yeah, I mean, they cut Moon. They brought in Packing 10. They've
wasn't Packing 10 an assistant coach.
But I will say this though, for like a team like the Valiant, like how many other teams?
I'm not too sure.
How many other teams in the league do we see? And I think the answer is probably a lot of them. Their seasons are struggling at the beginning, and then they just sit around and they do nothing. And they add a player, and then they add a player, and then that player sits on the bench, does absolutely nothing. They just put out a bunch of tweets telling everybody it's all right, we're gonna get better. Like
the Valiant deserve so much success. They did it twice.
They did
last
year
and this year.
They did it last year. They were pathetic at the beginning, and they end up making a bunch of changes. This year they figure out again. Like at least they're like that. That's a team that I can get behind and be like, all right, like I enjoy this franchise because they're like, oh, you know what, we're shit. Let's go out and change the fact that we're shit. Like a lot of other teams have just sat around and be like, we'll get them next year, guys. Don't worry, but buy your tickets. Like,
I mean, it's not all the support staff. It's also the players. Like someone like Costa probably helps a ton, just like inspiring his teammates.
Yeah.
But they also have to have the people behind the scenes who are like, all right, who's available? What can we do? Do we think this is an upgrade? How do we make this happen?
Yeah.
But also, here's the other thing. Some of the teams in the league you would have thought had good support staff, but failed. The problem is, because we don't know how good those support staffs actually were involved in the team this year, you can only really judge them by their merits. Like, for example, Boston. Like, Gunber, I really think is a good coach, but Boston shit the bed enormously. Does that mean that Gunber's bad? I mean, it could do, but it's so hard to tell. And that would kind of go counter to your argument that building up a good support staff is important. I think Philly have got, a reasonable support staff, though perhaps not the right support staff for that team. Washington,
at the same time,
the Wizard John was good.
At the same time, I think it comes down to the thought that there's too many variables to really predict that. In Boston's case, you can also say that maybe the coaches probably didn't have as much power as a lot of other teams in terms of who they can pick up. Like, why the fuck would you trade Note away?
I mean, why would you trade Strike away?
I don't think a coach is going to be making that decision.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. I don't think a coach is going to be making that decision.
Why would you bench Aim God?
But I think Boston though is building something different though. And I think Boston kind of understands the long game of it, where it's like, okay, in 2 years from now, will we be like, oh man, Boston, remember how bad they were in year 2? Like, I don't think anyone will care. Like, I think they're worried about, like, not really worried, but I think they're kind of trying to position themselves for the future. And it's like, okay, how do we take the young players, bring them into this system, create something that's somewhat successful, and then replicate it across the board?
Yeah.
And then eventually they'll find the player who they look, if they thought Striker was the player that they were going to be able to build around and bring people in who are excited to play with him and whatnot, they would have kept him, I think.
How's World of Warcraft, Matt?
Well, that's pretty good.
I think it's also I think it's also the way you have to think about Boston is so different to every other team, because they look like they're trying to sell people every year. And when you sign people in the Overwatch League, it's normally a 1+1 contract. That's what they sign. So if you sign somebody at the beginning of 2018, you have to sell them by the end of 2019. Otherwise, they become a free agent and you get no value out of them. So people like Aim God Striker, Note, these kind of players, you want to get rid of them in 2019 before they become free agents, because I bet you they didn't manage to sign them for repeat contracts in 2019, but without paying them a lot more.
I also think they keep some of these guys if they believe that they're guys for the future. Like, do they probably looked at Note and was like, okay, like, do we, like, is Note somebody who we think is going to be around, 2-3 years from now on our squad? Like, maybe they did last year, maybe they thought at the beginning of this year, but then they saw him in a different meta and they were like, maybe he can't do this, maybe he can't do that, expose a little bit of like weakness. And they're like, no, you know what, let's move on. Let's find somebody who will buy high on the stock from last year and then try and turn it into a player who we think could develop over time. It didn't work.
No.
I think they just made bank.
What on Note?
Probably.
I've been told not. Apparently.
I mean, maybe they made bank, maybe they didn't.
I don't understand it. Be right back.
Hot tub leaks.
Yeah, the hot tub leaks would suggest that they didn't make as much as they should. But anyway, are we returning to the semifinals?
The semifinal of the play-ins.
The thing that we were originally discussing before we went on wild.
Yeah,
I'm gonna make a cup of tea.
I don't even know where. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really affect the show, right? Because Josh and I just talk anyway.
It's true. Have a little two-man conversation, and Josh, Matt, you can ask questions, and then Josh can do all the talking, and then people will realize that you're actually pointless in this podcast.
Oh yeah, okay, cool.
Says the person literally leaving.
The person who's literally walking away. We can talk about Shanghai, London. I mean, we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier, but
the thing about Shanghai, London, though, is that even if it turns out that neither team had a great grasp of to play and how to play it, it's still an amazing game because you get to see like the teams figuring out the meta right in front of you.
Is it weird?
Even that is awesome.
Even after I'm not exactly high on maybe I'm still pretty I feel pretty good about London still. But even after seeing that series, I'm not worried about them against New York in the slightest.
Who plays against New York? London.
Yeah.
No, I'm not at all. I just don't have any faith in New York.
You know how I tweeted out that I don't think New York will get a single playoff win?
It's like a popular opinion now.
I'm almost thinking they might make a lower bracket run.
Johnny's going back on his own hot take.
I haven't. Oh no, it's not official. It's not confirmed. I'm just saying, in this meta, Libero in a very methodical and slower meta that sort of suits their playstyle, rather than the quick tempo style of stage 4.
That's true. It is slower.
It is slower, and it suits Flower and Libero's DPS heroes.
Why does it suit Flower, though? Because Flower's batshit insane. He doesn't play slow and methodical.
Imagine if I had told you New York season would have came down to Flower and Libero figuring out.
I just think they could be a good Reaper Doomfist and good Reaper Pharah, and they have McCree as well.
Is it weird that
they have the components, but I'm just. It's the decision making there, in my opinion.
I just don't know about I feel so much better about
here goes the copy pasta.
Yeah, here comes your tweet. Don't give me this NYXL looks better talk. Pushing Vancouver to Titans to map 5 meaningless match. Nothing.
Now it's gonna take New York to make the finals, dude. What a
joke.
No,
I'm just saying they could make
a joke.
Top 4.
You just said finals, bro.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Why'd you make shit up?
You didn't say it.
Hey. I almost believed you for a second.
London against New York, though. I mean,
you know what?
It's so hard because I don't feel like I still don't feel like we have a good read on the meta. I think
London will beat New York.
Yeah,
right.
But if New York plays against Atlanta or Gladiators,
New York plays Atlanta. Shock or Atlanta.
Yeah. You think New York would beat the Shock or the Rain?
So is Rain going to be good in the Doomfist Reaper
bro,
or
give me
Faramir meta?
I don't know. I think
are you banking on Erster's performance in stage 4 in a Doomfist meta?
Into my veins.
Yes, Erster I think is actually a really good Doomfist. From what I remember watching him in Pacific and China, I remember him clapping on Doomfist.
Yeah.
Now, he might not be incredible, but the guy has been amazing all year long. If I had confidence in anybody, I would have much more confidence in Erster than in Libero or
Flower. I've seen Flower walk off the street.
He's played 2 matches so far this season.
Yeah.
But to be fair, he did play a great
he was good, though.
He played the last
good, yeah. Is it weird with New York? The one thing I worry about the most is like the Sigma play. Like, who's going to play it? Is it going to be mono? Because we've seen teams play it in one of either the main tank plays it or the off tank plays it. But like, do you think Meko can play Sigma? I mean, we've really only seen him play like at a top tier Overwatch League level. I feel like we've only seen him play Diva at that level of play.
Nene Libero Flower.
But is that a concern for like New York? Like
I think it might be.
Do you not?
I don't know. Meko played some Sombra. Like, he probably adapt to some Sigma.
Meko Sombra was the first match of the entire season, and he never played it again.
Yeah, and then
they
played
it once. He played it once.
Sabiel on it.
An uprising.
Yeah, and then they played Sabiel on it, and he looked 10 times better.
I may have missed it, but have you guys discussed Mano playing Sigma?
No.
Have
you
were
got
just
any opinions about Mano
like,
playing Sigma?
Who would play Sigma for New York?
I mean, I mean, I could see a world in which.
What does the hot tub say about New York Excelsior?
Unfortunately, I don't speak Korean, so.
So the
Korean hot tubs.
No, I need to work on this because me and Jeshua were pretty tight, but his English is getting there. Eventually, maybe in the near future, we'll have some Korean hot tub sessions.
See, the weird thing is, from people watching streams, I had people coming into my stream chat who had been watching Gesture and Fury tell me that it was going to be Fury on Orisa. Yeah. They were like, "Oh, I've watched their streams. Fury's playing Orisa and Gesture's playing Sigma," and I was like, "Nah, I don't think that'll happen. I think that's just they're playing it on stream, just to get a feel for how the heroes work and that kind of stuff." And then they come out and that was exactly what they're playing. So it's possible that people know in the chat what Mano and Meko have been playing on stream. So that might be the best way of telling.
If Nevix hasn't streamed Classic WoW, has he played Classic WoW at all?
Nevix has been playing Classic WoW.
Online in the guild. Let's have a look.
Nevix may be playing.
Bro, I saw him the other day in Ashenvale at level 26. So
he
hasn't streamed it. He only streamed Sigma, so I think he plays Sigma.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Mano's been playing Doomfist and Zen apparently, so expect to see him on the DPS or maybe support.
Nevix is level 27 and he's currently in the 1,000 Needles.
Last
15 hours
ago. That's not too grindy.
Yeah, no. That's like a day and 12 hours played.
I don't know.
Do you think?
Well, you've been in Eurobash Arena.
I just started slash play. I'm like, I don't know.
I know.
So what do we think? Do we want to? Oh, we got to talk Guangzhou Seoul. Johnny, why don't you kick us off on that one?
Oh yeah, hold on.
Hold up, wait a minute.
Where is he going?
That's 22.
Yo, he's gonna throw on a Seoul Dynasty jersey. This is the most easy read thing we've ever had.
I love though as well that we've been like, it started as a joke of us saying that Johnny was Seoul's biggest fan, and he was like, no, I'm not on the previous episodes, and now he's leaning into it. Now that Seoul one of my hands.
He's fucking
look at him! I tell you now.
Dude, he's gonna rock up. Oh, there it is.
Oh my
dude,
goodness.
there it
Whose
is.
jersey is that? What does it say on
It's
it?
Munchkin, not even on the team
anymore. Come on, bro.
He's not even with them anymore.
Bro, they couldn't even hook you up with the new jersey, bro. They hooked you up with like
I bought it. I bought it last year.
Johnny's hunting for that Gen G sponsorship. That's all.
Put a hashtag ad on the stream for Gen G.
Hey, I'm just saying, bros. Like I played Munchkin before it was cool in Apex.
Well, it's not that cool. He's out of the league.
Stop. Do you have anything to say about the Seoul Dynasty, or are you just going to represent?
They're lit. They're incredible, bro. Have you seen Flatus McCree? Poppin'. It's immaculate. Marvel, throw in rocks, bro. Have you ever seen such a thing? He's incredible at the game. Seoul Dynasty, 2019 Grand Finals winners.
Do you think this is more though of like, so Guangzhou, they knew how to like Like they win their first series and they look good, and then they just completely go away from it. Like as soon as like it didn't work for the first like minute, they were like, "Oh nope, can't do that. Sorry, let's just abandon it." Like
it was kind of crazy. I think they only played it on 2 of the maps. It was like the first round of Busan, and then they played it again on 1 of the other maps. But I can't even remember what it was. Maybe King's Row or something. Oh no, it was Rialto. It was Rialto, and Fleta again pounded Nero.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you can't spell Doomfist without Fitz.
Okay, I mean, sure, but
wait a second.
Wait a minute. Now, I didn't do too well in English, but
do you think they're going to beat Vancouver Titans, Johnny?
No. Yeah. Do you think they're going to be Vancouver? No. Okay. Good.
Why? Why don't you think that?
Because I'm too confident in Vancouver's ability to adapt to the new meta, and I really believe in Haxal's Doomfist, and I think that Stitch will be able to mantle the Reaper and the McCree in a really good way. I don't know about their Sigma play, to be honest, but Bumper just doesn't have to do a lot. Janu, on the other hand, can figure it out. T-Mobile MVP candidate. So I think this team can really go far. Decision-making of Slime. Bro, have you seen the guy? He's lit. Apex champion. So I really do think that Vancouver Titans, they will actually go pretty far.
The weird thing is, because Vancouver could be good, I'm not confident in predicting this either way. But
I think they're going to win it all, baby.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think they're going to beat San Francisco.
Okay. But what are you basing this off? What evidence are you basing?
I just told you my speculation.
Okay.
And
but
the fact that they are champions. Like when it comes down to playoffs and elimination matches, you need someone who's clutch and can win tournaments. And I think the Vancouver Titans, they are that kind of team. They've proven it in Runaway. They've won stage playoffs before. And I think that San Francisco Shock, when they get to the grand final, I think they might crumble to the audience. I think they might crumble. And I think the Vancouver Titans, they will just perform under pressure.
Okay. I don't know whether this is a hot take or not, but I think the Seoul look like the better team than London in the play-ins. I think the Seoul looks like the best team from the play-ins.
I think that Guangzhou were probably worse than Shanghai.
I think that could also be true, yeah. But the thing about thing about Shanghai is they just forced like one style that they were super good with, and tried to like muscle that through. Seoul seemed really versatile to me. Assuming that Fleta can stay playing very well, and he's pretty inconsistent.
Yeah, I've also been burned so many times by Seoul Dynasty. Like there's so many times I just choke.
I want to see Fleta do that shit again. If Fleta does that shit again.
But it's not just Fleta. Like Marvel looked like the best Sigma. Like Marvel and Michelle were genuinely very, very good together as that Orisa Sigma combo. And then also Fitz played a great, like really intelligent Doomfist. Like he wasn't going in stupidly. He was just punishing people over and over again. And Jaehong's the best Moira that we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I know that might sound stupid, but Moira's so OP right now. Or not OP.
Moira
powerful playing double shield.
Moira does fucking pound against double shield.
Moira does so much work.
I think I understand, okay? I understand how you're incredibly bullish on Seoul Dynasty.
Says the man in the Seoul Dynasty shirt.
Yeah, but when you look at the bracket, they actually have an incredible hard bracket. They have to play the Vancouver Titans. I think they will beat Hangzhou Spark or Gladiators for that matter. But then they have to beat the Spitfire if Spitfire loses a shot.
So you guys want to do some week predictions for this week? So
sure.
You guys all like Vancouver?
I don't know. I think this one's a total. See, here's the reason why. Here's the reason why I'm so torn on all of these. Is I would have never thought Seoul would be good in this meta. I actually had really weak expectations for Seoul. So how many of these other teams are just going to come out here and surprise me? Like a bunch of these, I don't expect Gladiators to be good. They might come out and do the same thing as Seoul and look incredible. How the fuck are we supposed to know? I don't know. So I don't know where to rate like Vancouver. But I think the Seoul look really good. So I'm like, it's a total 50-50 for me. I could definitely see Seoul winning that match, though.
I think Gladiators is the dark horse. I think no one wants to predict them. I think no one wants to predict them. But that's the definition of a dark horse, right?
Well, it's only the definition if you think they're going to do well.
Yeah, if you think they're going to do well.
Otherwise, it's just a dark goat that fucking runs off somewhere.
Well, a dark goat would be better than a dark horse, would it?
No, I don't think so.
I just...
Not at Epsom.
I mean, it's so much like speculation, right? But I feel like Hydration could legitimately be good at Sigma. And then you have Surefour and Decay, which I get the criticism, okay? I get it. Decay hasn't lived up to his alleged salary. I get it, okay? Surefour, so he's a good player, right? But sometimes a few unforced errors here and there. So I get it, right? I get why people are down on the Gladiators. But I think they have the pieces. The thing I'm most worried about is the fact that Gladiators have never, ever won a playoff match.
No.
They've never won a playoff match. But if they get their shit together for this playoffs, I think they have the pieces to be a good team.
But I feel like in the playoffs, they've never... Like, my issue with the Gladiators, I still just don't believe in the main tank play. Like, I just don't...
Yeah, but it's different now. It's different.
Roar,
because now you're playing Orisa and you're playing Sigma.
It's who's going to be playing,
less. It's way less on Roar. I could even see them playing like Void Hydration. Not even kidding.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually would feel almost better if they played like Sigma with like Hydration playing the Sigma.
But wait,
I would feel great if they played Void Hydration.
Why would you ever play Hydration not on the Pharah Doomfist specialist?
Well, that's the issue. That's the issue.
Well,
because
I
those
understand.
Are his 2 heroes. Those are Hydration's 2 heroes that he could possibly be like one of the best in the world at.
Sure,
those are his specialists.
Well, you have to compare the drop-off between any potential Sigmas between Roar and Void, and the drop-off of having Decay and Surefour on the.
But if you don't trust Roar and Void to play your tank heroes, then probably your team is fucked.
Isn't that the worrying issue? Is that you're
because
playing
that's not how it
DPS
works.
Player.
Is it not? I mean, if you don't trust your tank players to play the tank hero, your team can't be considered too much favorites.
Johnny, if you were on a team and your team said, and there was a new main tank that was released or a new tank that was released, and they came to you and said, "Oh, you know, the best chance is for us to sit you and play Tavik," what does that say about you?
Well, it depends. Well, it depends on the mechanics of the hero. If you're saying like, okay, Johnny, okay, no, hear me out. If they announce a new main tank that was like super aim intensive, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these main tank players, honestly, would get benched.
It's not like a. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, you're saying like a hypothetical hero. I was gonna say Sigma aim intensive. I was like, he's not a sniper. Like he's just throwing rocks to the wall.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think he is particularly aim intensive. That's the thing about it, right? Like, I don't have faith in Raw or Void particularly to be a great tank line.
I think Void is decent, but I don't like Roar.
But then let's like follow this logically. If you do have Hydration in the tank line playing your Sigma, or say even
then you lose out on having a sick Pharah Doom.
Yeah, then you don't have the Pharah Doomfist. So then
that's where you have Decay and Surefour. And so what I'm telling you is how much of a drop off do you consider having Decay or Surefour on any of Hydration's heroes? How percentage-wise, how much better do you think Hydration is on Doomfist and Pharah over Surefour?
Hydration's Doomfist slaps. I think
quite a lot.
I think Surefour can play.
That's the thing. Neither Surefour nor Decay are no Pharah or their Doomfist.
They can play it. I mean, I think they can play it.
Probably can play
really
it
well.
I'm not even sure I've ever even seen either of them.
What makes you think they might play that? Why would they not just play something else?
Well, maybe they would. I mean, maybe they play
that's the meta of the play-ins.
May Symmetra or something.
I mean, they can play Symmetra.
Okay, if they play May Symmetra, I'm out, dude. No, they're not Dark Horse anymore. They're like
We've seen very little of the play-ins. They might.
We don't really know what the meta is.
I mean,
something else.
They could play Symmetra. They could play their. I mean, there's a lot they could do, right?
Yeah.
I think we're just kind of basing it off of what we saw from the play-ins,
which we have to.
The McCree, I could see either of them picking up the McCree. The McCree's been pretty decent. Surefour's generally got very good aim, and he plays us like a. I think this meta actually would be pretty decent for Surefour. He tends to play tight with his tanks. He tends not to, be a fucking idiot just inting into the backlines. So I could see he tends to like to punish people, and this is kind of it seems like a more punishing meta. Like you have to punish the other teams for making mistakes.
I just worry about the tank line. That's all. I just think where you have to kind of move, like, let's say you got to move like Hydration into the tank. I think that kind of creates some problems elsewhere. Like, what do you do, Johnny? Like, if let's say they're just like, oh man, like we can play a sick Doom against this. Do you now have to have Hydration switch chairs and bring back Void? Like, what do you do?
Honestly, the way I see things, I just think that there could be a couple of playoff teams that just won't be able to figure out the meta and play the meta optimally. And I think Gladiators, I believe in their ability to figure out the meta.
I will say the Gladiators,
they are smart.
They've always been a team that's quick to adapt.
And so even if you guys can criticize their individual hero performances how much you want, like I believe in their ability to adapt and play the meta decently more than some of these other teams.
Yeah. I mean, the Spark, for example, notoriously slow to adapt.
Right. What do we think about Hangzhou then moving forwards into this?
I think they don't win a match.
You don't think they don't win a map?
You don't think they win a map?
Match. I do think they win maps. Come on, guys.
That's a bold statement. Yeah.
They win a match.
Who would they play in the lower bracket if they lose?
People are very bullish on the Guangzhou Spark because of God's Beast snipers. When do you see
God's Beast snipers were very, very
When do you
good.
see them in this meta?
No, you don't at all.
No, you're not. Yeah.
So, are you gonna predict that like Adora is gonna play Pharah or
only fucking Crystal was in this team?
Yeah.
Yes, if Crystal was here,
they had a player like Crystal.
It really would make a big difference.
Yeah.
I genuinely think there might be a possibility that we see Sassin back in the lineup.
Ooh.
Yes. Yeah, maybe. That's a good shout. Yeah.
See some
Sassin's very versatile.
Yeah.
I don't know though. This is one of those teams where I don't have a read. I don't have a read on how this Spark Gladiators game is going to go. Either of the teams could come out and play. On paper, Spark don't look like they'd be great, and neither do the Gladiators. But
no,
on paper, neither did Seoul.
I change who's going to win this match in my head every day. Like I wake up and I'm just like, I think the Spark will win because of this, and the next day I'm like, no, fuck the Spark.
Josh, you're so cute, buddy. I love how you say that Seoul didn't look good in this meta on paper. Oh,
I don't think they did.
You're so cute, buddy. Where's my heart?
Oh yeah, you predicted the Marvel Sigma popping off. I bet.
Dude, Johnny's just been sitting in Discord with Munchkin, dude, just going over fucking VODs.
Yo, me and Rija Hong, we go way back, dude. I won tournament before this guy was child or something like that.
New York, London. Anyone want to make a case for New York?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest case you can make is London didn't look fantastic. We had heard rumors that London were an elite team. This is the hot tub gossip coming in hot, and honestly, they were looking a little bit sloppy at parts.
Well, it could have been maybe the Dragons were also kind of elite, but we didn't know.
Yeah, did you see the interview that was posted on Overwatch League? Fury, yeah.
No, tell me.
He said, well, first of all, he was just talking about the match itself, and he said it felt like they were playing the playoffs. It was so different to the regular season. Everything felt like, he said, back in season 1 against NYXL in the stage playoffs, the same feeling as that. So for starters, London are back, right? In terms of their mentality, they're back. But Doshin is still leading the team. That's another interesting thing to point out as well, because we'd always assumed it, but it's nice to hear it from the teams itself. And then they said, in scrims, we met the top 6 teams like Shock, New York, etc. I think Shanghai was better, maybe.
Yeah.
Really?
So
But they would say that, wouldn't they?
They
because
would.
Otherwise,
yes.
it implies that you're bad.
Exactly.
So of course you're going to say that. But
you could just say that the London could just come out and say we played bad on the day. We better, like, been slapping these people in scrims and we struggled against Shanghai. But instead, Fury came out and said Shanghai might have been better than the other top 6 teams that we were scrimming against. And now we're lost in the source of rumors.
It might be
deep in the hot tub scrim rumors.
I'm not going to name any names.
Okay.
But an undisclosed member of the London Spitfire.
Well, now
the only one that can speak English and hangs out with.
You just said there's only one player that can speak.
It's a guy who doesn't speak English. A guy who doesn't speak English.
Okay,
right.
Of a guy who doesn't speak English.
Yeah, you use Google Translate.
I tried to be friendly and said, "Oh, well done on your win today."
Oh, okay.
I was like, "Good job on your win." And he took it as if to mean you're gonna win everything, right?
Oh.
And I was met with a whoa.
Yeah, but that's the same thing with London last year. Isn't the story that they had their bags packed before round 1?
Yeah.
Krillin. Yeah. Yes, somebody in the chat has got it right. It was Krillin.
Brennon Krillin, they're tight. They're tight like that.
They had their bags packed to go home before their match. Was it against the Gladiators?
Bro, there's an amazing story. This story gets even better. Me and Bren turned up to their house and it was a catastrophe, but we can't talk about like what was actually happening. But it was absolute carnage,
it's too ridiculous for us to even leak on the podcast.
Yes, it was
ridiculous.
It was absolutely nuts. And then they make a change to their roster and they just slaughter people going forwards from that. They just
it was at that
they
point
abandoned all hope.
Honestly, I've applied so much of my analysis in playoff scenarios to this. You never know what's going to happen, even when you think you know what's happening, because when it gets to the point where even London Spitfire counted themselves out after that first game,
yeah,
and then they go on to win the entirety of the season. Like, what does that tell you? It tells you that one small change can change everything.
Costa said that the day before they beat the Gladiators, Valiant spawn camped them in practice. Literally spawn camped London Spitfire.
Yeah.
And they were like, Spitfire's out.
Yeah.
And then next day, Spitfire just owned the Gladiators. They were spawn camped by the Valiant.
Yeah.
Actually mental.
But that also involved a change of shot caller, which I think is also a really important thing that often gets overlooked in the London scenario, was that Closer was removed, they brought in Nuss, and Badosin fully took over as the team leader. And from then, that's been Badosin's kind of reign over the London Spitfire.
And now they kicked out Nuss, you get Quartermain in there. Just do the same thing again. Run it back.
But yeah, that's anything can happen in these playoff scenarios.
Atlanta shock. I think obviously the two hottest teams coming out of stage 4.
Do you think any team plays Symmetra? I think Atlanta might play Symmetra.
I think Atlanta might. They showed it a little bit.
They kept playing it, but maybe it's like the red herring is what they
exactly. Call it. Yeah. Is it just a red herring? Are we just caught up on the weird pick that isn't actually going to happen in the playoffs at all? Maybe this was something
the source.
Maybe this was outdated. Like teams were playing this in scrims 2 weeks ago and stopped. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell.
But this is a fucking tough match, and I think
I think this is going to be one of the best matches, honestly.
Well, I think the issue is like, not really an issue, is that the team that loses this is going to be crushed because I feel like it's going to be a close game, and then they're going to realize that they're going to have to play either NYXL or London.
Yeah,
like you lose like sometimes it's better to lose in a blowout than to lose close. And it's like you lose a series like this, like close, and then you have a matchup like that on the other side. Like it's a week in between, but can you recover from it?
That's playoffs, baby. It's what separates the wheat from the chaff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who do you think? Do you think Nevix is going to start for Shock?
It's pure speculation. Who knows?
People in the chat before were like, "Oh, like is Tizzy gonna play for Vancouver?" Like, what would surprise you more if you saw Tizzy come out or if you saw Nevix come out?
I'd be way more surprised with Tizzy.
Tizzy for me, yeah, but like,
but you know how Shock always talk about how their team members are so cooperative and like help each other so much.
Yeah.
I could certainly see a scenario where Shock feel like they just need Choyobin in the lineup, and Nevix just like gets good at Sigma and then just passes down all he knows about Sigma to Choyobin. And then they need him in the lineup. I could definitely see that being the case.
I was talking to the president of Shock, and he was, do you really, like, he was talking to me about this idea of creating a team atmosphere where people help each other rather than competing for the starting spots. And he was like, obviously we had Rascal try and teach Moth everything about Batiste. Like, of course he would do that. That also makes sense because they're not even competing for the starting positions. But I think the point that he's trying to say as well is that Super and Smurf, help each other to try and get better. Probably Choi and Nevix do as well. And the DPS players. It seems less of an atmosphere of competition and more like, you are on this team to fucking win a championship. We are going to win this championship. And even if you never played, Nevix, you are going to say that you won a championship.
I think you can only have that team environment for so long. I think you cannot. That's not a team environment that's sustainable.
Yeah, I can see where like Striker. Does Striker want to go to another team next season?
No, it's not even. It's not even switching teams.
I know for a fact that Striker really likes working with Krusty, just from their time on Boston.
Yeah, that's true.
I would be surprised if he left or moved.
You can only be a pro player for so long, you know.
No, I think the team environment like that can only work for a while because, let's say me and Bren are teammates and I help Bren out a lot, teach Bren how to play a hero. Bren starts. Bren then proceeds to get paid like a starter and I'm paid like a bench boy and I just taught him how to play. Yeah, that shit ain't flying for that long.
But I think these players are motivated by the desire to win the whole championship.
But once you win,
Yeah, maybe once. Yeah, once you satisfy that.
That's what I'm saying.
But Shock might not win this season. It might continue for a while.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, they may continue for a bit. I mean, I think they're the favorite, but
yeah, same.
I just don't believe that's something that you can keep going like long term. That's why like sports teams like you have guys who are on the bench and you have guys who start. Like the issue is the money. Like you can't pay everybody the same amount. And then once you pay one guy, it disrespects another guy, even though they're like, like after a while, you just don't want to be the sacrificial lamb for the team anymore. You want to play.
You want to spread your wings and show your ability. Yeah,
exactly. Like, I don't think you're going to have players like even Sinatra. You think Sinatra's going to be cool being a guy on the bench forever? Like, yeah, it's great when they were winning. If they were losing right now, I bet you they'd all be complaining. Like, it's a really tough line to walk.
Yeah,
especially if that's the way you're going to go. But I think the Shock will win in a close game. I think it's super close.
Do we want to give our top 3? Well, it's actually pretty obvious when I think about it. It's pretty obvious. So
top 3 for what? For the whole thing?
Yeah, but everyone's just going to say Shock, Titans, and Spitfire.
There's still another 3 episodes before There's still another 3 episodes of Plat Chat before the grand finals.
Yeah, but I mean, we have to do predictions this episode because otherwise,
I think it would be interesting to give our top 3 and compare them week by week and see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, we'll all give the same top 3.
Why? Who do you think? I can't think of even who my top 3 would be at this point.
Titans, Shock, and Spitfire.
No, I don't think that would be my top 3. I've just said that I think Seoul look better than London.
You're going to put Seoul in your top 3?
Well, no. I think the top 3 is impossible because we haven't seen all of the teams. But if you made me pick, I might
That's
pick
why they're called predictions, Joshua.
Yeah, but those are just guesses. They're not predictions because they're not based on any evidence.
Yo, give me that. What's the website for the bracket?
These guys have played for 2 seasons in the Overwatch League.
Yeah,
and you say you don't have any footage.
All right, round one. I'll give you my predictions here, Johnny.
I don't want to hear your 18 predictions in this bracket. It's gonna take too long, and no one will be able to.
There's only 4. There's only 4 predictions. You just have to say 4.
All right, give the first 4. The first 4.
Right, I got Titans, Spark, Spitfire, and Shock.
All right, I have the Gladiators.
Why the fuck not? Why the fuck not?
I have Gladiators over Shock, or Gladiators Spark, and I get the same.
We should probably also do the loser round ones because those will happen this weekend as well.
Really?
Obviously, we don't know that. Yeah.
Oh shit! I forgot that they have.
Yeah. We'll send home another. Well,
actually, limb, baby.
Do we have a? So we'll have winners semis this. No. Yeah, we'll have winners semis this weekend, and we'll have losers 1.
Wait, no. Winners quarters.
Right? What do you mean?
Well, winners quarters of the game.
We do 4 days this week, Josh.
Fuck.
Oh, actually, no, you'll do.
Really?
Yeah, you can't do 2 rounds of losers because you do the first round, you wouldn't know who they would play.
So what we do? Round. We do 8 games this week.
No, you do 16.
Yeah. No.
Right, never mind. Ignore me.
8
games. 8 matches.
There are 8 games this weekend.
I did not realize we were doing the
winners. These are the winners round 1s, your loser round 1s, and then your winners semis.
Jesus, I didn't realize we were getting so deep in the tournament after 1 week.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. Okay.
That's why we may as well predict some.
I think Titans over Dynasty. Baby. Titans over Dynasty. Gladiators over Spark. Spitfire over Excelsior. Shock over Reign. Dynasty over Spark in the losers bracket. And Reign over Excelsior in the losers bracket. And winner semis, Titans over Gladiators and Shock over Spitfire.
Yeah, I have Titans and Shock both winning my winners semis.
So the only lower seed you have moving forwards is Gladiators.
Can you link the bracket tool?
Gigabrain.salmon.io/bracket. Except without the A and the O.
I'll take I'll take Atlanta over New York in the lower bracket. New York just going out a hot 0-2.
I think New York might win that one, but I have to stick with the Reign now.
Oh man, this is so tough.
Dude, I have Seoul Dynasty against like the Gladiators. That's a brutal match to pick.
Okay, I mean, if you want to do the entire playoffs, I'm fine with it because it's on my Twitch channel, so I get the Twitch Prime Pros.
No, let's do just the games this week.
Just the games this week. Yeah.
Oh, I have a feeling I could get every single one wrong this week, and it wouldn't be surprising to me.
No,
there isn't a single game I feel confident about.
The hardest one,
but I suppose that makes an amazing playoffs.
Come on,
the hardest
over
one
Rain.
to pick. The hardest one to pick is the Spark Gladiator one, because both those teams are just a coin flip.
So what did you guys go for then? Are we just doing? We're just doing the quarterfinals and the losers round 1.
No, and then we're also doing semifinals.
We're doing semis.
Yeah, the semifinals.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
dude, stop questing and focus on the podcast.
I'm looking at the bracket now, but
all right, I've done mine.
We have to do the winner semis have to happen this weekend because you can't do losers round 2 unless
I just feel weird about doing the semis when we haven't even seen some of these teams play.
We got to do it. It's the beginning of the week. Okay. We got to do it. Just put your money somewhere.
I got my money in.
Yeah, place a bet somewhere.
All right, Titans to win the first quarterfinals.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I got.
I got Spark to win the second quarterfinals.
I think Gladiators.
I took Spark as well.
Okay, so we're split 2-2 with that first one. So already our bracket is different. I take Spitfire and Shock in the next 2.
That's I got that as well.
I think we all have that one, right?
All right, so that means that we've. Oh no, we don't all have that. So me and Matt have Titans Spark in the semifinal. I took Titans.
Yep, I took Titans in that.
And we have Spitfire Shock.
I took Shock over.
Yeah, I took Shock as well. So my bracket is the same as yours so far. So wait, let's sort out the losers bracket then. Did you have Dynasty or Gladiators, Matt?
I haven't picked one yet. Hold on, let me decide because I don't want to decide and then I don't want you to decide first.
I've already decided.
I took Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, I took Dynasty as well. So I've got the Gladiators and NYXL bombing out in 2.
Yeah, so do I.
And I've got Titans and Shock going on.
Interesting.
What have you two got?
Almost the exact same, but you replace Spark with Gladiators. You rotate them around.
So you've got Spark bombing out in 2.
Yep.
And Gladiators moving on to the semifinals and then going to face the Atlanta Reign.
I mean, I think whoever loses Spark Gladiators, I think probably looks way worse than Seoul Dynasty. So I think whoever loses that one probably does go 0-2.
Man,
What a Johnny?
What a fucking weird.
Well, I've literally told you.
Yeah, but I didn't have the bracket in front of me, so I couldn't visualize it.
I think Spark bomb out in 2. And then I think.
So have you got the same bracket as
Shock?
You've got the same bracket as Bren then?
Yeah, me and Johnny have got the exact same bracket.
Wait,
right.
Because you have Shock beating Rain, and you have London beating New York, and then you have Rain in the lower bracket over New York.
That's crazy. I didn't realize how fast these playoffs.
And then you have Seoul over Spark.
I didn't realize how fast the playoffs are going to go. We have this week, which is a normal 4-day week of 2 matches each. Next week is just 2 matches on Thursday, 1 match Friday, 1 match Saturday, 1 match Sunday.
So that's the winners finals, losers round 2, and losers round 3.
It'll start probably with you probably start with the losers round 2.
Right. Yeah.
And you do the winners final.
I like that though, because that gives the players some time to rest between matches and be like top form ahead of every important game.
Oh, actually, wait, hold on. Would you not? No, you would do the losers. You do losers round 2 on Thursday, the winner final on Friday. Saturday you would do the losers semi, and then Sunday they'd have to come back. So whoever loses the winner final is going to have from Friday to Sunday to watch and prep. It's actually
that's a good advantage, I think, for making it
a decent advantage.
Yeah. Oh, it's gonna be nuts.
I expected it to be like longer. Is it weird that it's like I guess I don't know. Maybe I felt like it was going to be more drawn out, but I think right now looking at the schedule,
I like it. It feels like a tournament.
Really just
the most games in it. And
this week feels like we're going to get like just a bunch out of the way.
Yeah,
like,
I mean 8 matches. It's just a ton.
Yeah. My God, turn up. If you're in the LA area, get your fucking asses to the Blizzard Arena as well, because these games, imagine being in the LA area and missing that Shanghai Dragon game.
Yeah, that's just dumb.
Like you turned up to some shitlord regular season match and you missed that game.
Yeah.
What? Why? What are you doing?
People come down to watch the 0-40 Dragons, dude, then not showing up when they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. Some of these matches are just going to be outrageous. Some of these days are going to be incredible.
What are you laughing at, Johnny?
Nothing.
What are you laughing at?
At you.
About what? I mean, the Dragons were shit. I mean, we all know they were shit. I mean, we have 40 games to watch.
It's the last matches in the Blizzard Arena.
It's crazy.
Crazy, dog.
Feels bad, man.
The home field of Roshan.
It's such a sick stage. It's a sick arena.
Yeah, it is.
Like it's one of the best arenas in esports.
Yeah, one of the only ones. Yeah.
True.
I'm just trying to hype it up, Matt. Can you stop being so negative?
End of an era. Bible thumbs in the chat. Bible thumbs.
Yeah, right.
Bless up. Oh well.
Yeah. You want to talk about contenders?
No. See, so I'm going to stream now, which means that I can't end the stream.
Well, so you'll just have to clip it there.
Yeah, so I'll just have to clip it there. Did someone say no?
Yeah, you just said no.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, right, we'll do it again. We'll do it again. Just edit this in and post. Hey, Bren, you want to talk about contenders?
Yeah, actually.
Oh, fuck.